a $900 billion COVID relief stimulus package, a $1.4 trillion omnibus package. Hallelujah, we are saved. The American people and small businesses can rest easy until you read where the money's actually going. I'm going to show you where it's going. I'm going to show you the small amount of people, mostly Republican, who said no to the bill. And then I'm going to talk about drugs, particularly the drugs inside your very own brain. Remember that this is now a podcast on all podcasting platforms. You can find it on Spotify. Please go there, subscribe. There's many people who've been asking for a podcast they can listen to on the way to work. And please remember, smash that like button, hit the subscribe button. That really helps. Share this out. That's probably the best thing that you guys can do that really allows this message to go widespread. And if you appreciate this kind of message and you want more of this kind of news program, please donate. In the show notes below, you can find all that information. Stick around for a deep dive on Waking Infinity News. Hey folks, this news piece, just so you know, is an edited piece. I took out a part that I told about an $1,800 stimulus check for illegal aliens that was false. I found it out to be false after the fact. And the way I researched it was straight from the president's mouth, which I should have known a little better. And it was also straight from a news piece, but it wasn't from the source. It wasn't from the bill itself. So I apologize. I took it out. This is an edited piece. I hope you guys enjoy. I've done a little bit more fact checking and everything else seems to pan out, but it's not your fault that I don't have a fact checker. That is my responsibility to do. So, I plan on stepping up to the best standard for all of you. This is very fast-paced, the way I do this show, and you guys deserve the best. So I want to say thank you for all the support. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and on with the show. Welcome back to Waking Infinity News. I'm your host, Ben Joseph Stewart, and today we're going to be talking about a bill that was passed through Congress on the eve of the Great Conjunction, on the eve of the winter solstice, on December 20th, 2020, before Congress, there was a 5,593-page bill that was put before them with roughly 2 hours to read it, impossible, and then everybody was given the option to vote yes or no. There was a very small percentage of them that actually voted no. I'm going to tell you who those were in a bit, but first I want to show you where this $900 billion for the COVID relief stimulus package and the $1.4 trillion omnibus package, which was all lumped together in this 5,593-page packet. And I want to show you exactly how that is spread out. And I'm going to show you that Mr. Trump, our still president right now, has come out and said, this is egregious, this is ridiculous, but I'm going to chop down some of his arguments and chop down some of the rah-rah-rah support for President Donald Trump. Guys, mind you, I have been bashing, not even really bashing, but just pointing out a lot of what the Biden camp has been doing lately. I've been talking about voter fraud, but this in no way says that I actually support Donald Trump. I take an elevated view as much as I possibly can, a Claire Graves spiral dynamics view, climbing up the ladder above all this bickering on the bottom so I can try and give you guys an actual fair and balanced view. I'm not saying that I am perfect. I've even asked for people to help me fact check. I've gotten a bunch of people saying I can easily refute a lot of the things you say. I say, please refute, help me. And none of them ever do. The most I've gotten are really incoherent ramblings that really just meander into infinity, and I'm not ever able to get to some kind of conclusion on what I've actually said that's wrong. I need actual people that are willing to help. And I want to thank you all for offering to help, but I actually need you to come to me and say, this is what I can offer you. This is how I can do it. I'm getting far too many people that are actually just saying, I would love to help in any way I can. I love you. I truly, truly frickin' love you guys so much, but I need real help, meaning I need people to come and tell me how I need to improve. I can't really do much with people who say, I'll do anything. I really need people who say, this is where my unique genius is, this is where I'm going to help. But I digress. Let's hop into the bill. Here's where the money is actually being spent. $85.5 million for assistance to Cambodia. $143 million is going to Burma. $1.3 billion goes to Egypt and Egyptian military to buy Russian military equipment. Now I'll stop right there and I'll say that President Donald Trump came out in a briefing and he said this very fact, that $1.3 billion going to Egyptian military to buy Russian military equipment. And he said this as if he had a problem with it. Why, if there's so much Russian chummy action going on, collusion, the only way Donald Trump could have ever gotten into office, why would he be so miffed by this fact that the Egyptian military is going to basically purchase Russian military equipment? There may be a story there, but maybe not. So I digress. I just want to throw that out because a lot of this Russia fear porn is really going nowhere. It makes very little sense unless you realize that most mainstream media is here to diversion tactics to get you chasing wild gooses while the real issues actually underlie them, and they won't even speak about those things because they don't want you ruminating over those topics. They want you fearing Russia and talking about stuff that truly does not matter at the end of the day. Let's get back to it. $25 million going to gender programs in Pakistan. $505 million to Belize, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, Panama. Okay, very interesting. $40 million for the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C., $1 billion for the Smithsonian, $154 million for the National Gallery of Art, and those three, the Kennedy Center, the Smithsonian, and the National Gallery of Art, not open for business. $7 million towards reef fish management. Okay, very little to do with COVID. Maybe that's part of the Omnibus package. $25 million to combat Asian carp. Why has it got to be Asian? $2.5 million to count the number of amberjack fish in the Gulf of Mexico. All right. There's also a provision to promote breeding of fish in federal hatcheries. Federal stimulus. $3 million in poultry production technology. Okay. $2 million to research the impact of downed trees. $566 million in construction projects to the FBI. Can you see where this is going? This is how little this bill is actually for the U.S. people. All this money going elsewhere, outside of the country. So then Donald Trump comes out and he says, this is ridiculous. $600, that's ridiculous. We need to raise that to $2,000. And everyone, even the Democrats, are like, okay, we can get behind you, Mr. Trump. For the first time in history, let's get behind Mr. Trump and raise that up to $2,000. I hate to be so hyperbolic and somewhat sarcastic with the way I'm saying this, but do you see the underlying hypocrisy here? He comes out and he says, all this money, this ridiculous amount of money that the taxpayers are paying for is going out of the country. It's not staying here. It's not helping all the small businesses and the American families that are struggling to pay their rent. Mind you, the average family member makes about $30,000 a year, is about $6,000 in credit card debt right now, on average. Okay, let's raise that stimulus from $600 to $2,000 so we could be $200 better than the illegal aliens. Okay, but what about all that spending? Oh, well, let's not talk about that. Let's just raise that amount to $2,000 a head. So who's actually paying for that? If you're not kind of curious about the fact that the Democrats have been against Donald Trump since day one, and then all of a sudden he wants to raise this already ridiculously high taxpayer bill up even more, where all the money going outside of the country is not being addressed. Let's pay attention to this a little bit more. I'm going to go a little bit deeper. I want to show you guys who voted no. The Libertarian Justin Amish, Ted Cruz of Texas, Rand Paul of Kentucky, Tulsi Gabbard of Hawaii, that's a Democrat right there, Paul Gosar of Arizona, Rashida Tlaib of Michigan, Thomas Massey of Kentucky, and even Senator Mike Lee of Utah said, It was unacceptable to ask lawmakers to vote on a 5,000-page long bill in the space of a few hours because there was no chance they could perform their role properly before voting. Legislation like this needs to be voted on. It needs to be understood at the time that it's voted on. Members need to have the chance to not only read it and understand it, but to vet it with their constituents and offer up improvements. None of that happened. But you know, folks, I am pretty tired of all this political posturing. I'm actually not even super political. The reason why I've been talking a lot about it is mainly because that's mostly what's going on. That's mostly what is noteworthy lately. For the most part, I think that news is just ridiculous. Most news, mainstream news. And talking about politics is really just talking about stuff that is going to get super divisive and to show people how divided we can make ourselves. Again, I've said this before. We are not divided because of politics. Politics is really a projection of who we are on the inside. We are quite divided in ourselves. We murmur and grumble about ourselves and other people in our own minds. We argue a lot in our own minds. So this is really the main reason. When we see all of this madness going on in the world, what do we actually do about it? How do we step out of it? No one really knows. Nobody really actually makes those steps. And I believe this is because we are so locked into the details, the rumor mill, all the crap that you see on most news networks. It's inconsequential to our daily lives, and it really only acts and serves as a way for us to get even more upset about this unfair matrix that we are all stuck in. But the thing is we don't break ourselves out of baseline consciousness enough. So here's my segue into drugs, especially the drugs in your very own brain, DMT. I'm working on a show right now, it's just about out, called DMT Quest, with a very amazing author. His name is John A. Chavez. He wrote the book Questions for the Lion Tamer. You guys are going to want to read that book. If you want to know my thoughts on it, please go to gaia.com/Ben, and you will actually see on that page that brings you to my show Limitless. Now, Limitless, I get into many things about human potential, but the main thing that actually I'm talking about here is, I think it's in the quantum consciousness episode where I talk about endogenous DMT. What is its role? What is its purpose? Well, I believe that we have DMT inside us for a very functional reason. But you can do things like Wim Hof breathing, and it likely brings your DMT levels up. Even things that Stephen Barker showed in the film DMT, the Spirit Molecule, he gave lab rats the LSD, and that actually caused for an increase, a 10-fold increase of endogenous 5-MeO DMT and a 4-fold increase of NN-dimethyltryptamine. The interesting thing about that is that these hallucinogens, psychedelics like LSD, may actually just make your endogenous DMT increase. And there's other ways that you can do that just by breathing, meditating, long bouts of mantra, things that improve vagal tone. I bet you there's even cold exposure and heat exposure that causes for your DMT ratios to increase. So, what am I saying here? This is what I actually believe to be of utmost importance. We are so locked into this, I hate politics, but what are you going to do? Oh man, that's so corrupt, but what are you going to do? I cannot believe this person got into office. I don't even believe this election was fair, but what are you going to do? I don't like the Democrats. I don't like the Republicans. I think the whole thing has gone tits up, but what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Why were you born? What made you incarnate in this life? Do you really think it's just random? Do you think you have no purpose? You have no unique genius? You have no gifts, right? You just came here to be a worker bee, to be a slave to the system, to the matrix. Again, I might sound a little hyperbolic with all of this, but the bottom line is I'm asking you, the viewer, not just the general audience member, you, the viewer. I want to know what you think you came here to do. Was it just to throw your hands up in defeat? If you do not feel like I do, if you feel like all of this is completely normal and you're willing to just in a sense, let it happen the way it's already happening. If you feel that this is all just fine, okay, I really wonder why you're on this particular news station. But I'm happy to have you. If you just want to listen and hear my ramblings, but you don't agree, that's fine. And I appreciate your viewership. I really do. But here's what I want to do. I want to actually bring you through an exercise. So you're not just hearing somebody intellectually ramble on and on. That's not what this show is about. And I really haven't yet gotten into the stuff I really want to get to on this news show. So I'm going to do that now. Only do this, like I said, this is on Spotify now, so this is a podcast. So a lot of people who are in their daily commute, they could just listen to the daily news via Ben Joseph Stewart. But if you are driving, or if you're operating any kind of heavy machinery, if you're walking with scissors or doing anything dangerous, even if you're standing up, don't do this exercise. If you can sit still and take a moment, do this exercise. This is what Waking Infinity is all about. It's about the awakening process. Practical, pragmatic steps towards awakening. Not some woo-woo, hold this crystal, look at this rune, which I believe actually does work in some capacity, and call in your spirit guides, and all of a sudden you're healed and you'll be fine. This is very practical, and you will feel the effects within, I would say, 30 seconds. Okay? I'm going to start you off with Wim Hof breathing. Wim Hof is in DMT Quest. Again, you're going to see that coming out soon, and it will blow your mind if you understand anything about endogenous DMT. So what I want you to do is sit there, relax your body, have a straight spine, maybe extend your spine a little bit, and try and get a straight spine. Imagine there's a hook on the crown of your head, just slightly tugging you up towards the ceiling. And then just let everything kind of relax. Let your back, your stomach relax. Enter your breathing. And what I mean by entering it is bring your awareness into your breathing. Watch how your breath can go deep, deep down into the cradle of your hips. Offer it no resistance. Relax your neck, your shoulders, your tongue, your face. Relax your eyes a little bit. You can keep your eyes open. Now we're going to go into Wim Hof breathing. And what that means is a big inhale into the belly first, then the chest, then the head. And then relax and just let it come back out naturally. A big inhale. Almost as Dan McQueen from Medicinal Mindfulness says, a big yes to life and a big letting go of the old. Okay? I'll demonstrate for you. Into the gut, then the chest, then the head as you expand. Here we go. Keep going. You better not be driving right now. Ten more. Fully in. Hold your breath. Squeeze, let all the cerebrospinal fluid that carries the DMT up into your brain. Now let it out. Breathe normally. Just check in with how that made you feel. Remember that breath is always with you. All I did was augment it for you a little bit. Give thanks to Wim Hof. Give thanks to the Tibetan Tumo exercise. Give thanks to Dan McQueen from Medicinal Mindfulness. How do you feel? Do you feel a little bit more relaxed? Do you feel maybe a little bit more centered? How does your body feel? Check in with your hips. Where are you tight? I might be sounding like a yogi right now, but the bottom line is if you're holding tension and you think it's only the yogis who can bring awareness to the tension in your hips and how you're breathing, then you got a lot of psychological issues. You got a lot of blocks that keep you from realizing that breath is always augmenting the ratios of your neurochemistry, always augmenting how you feel in your body, always augmenting how focused and clear your consciousness is. So the reason why I did this exercise is because I wanted to break you out of baseline consciousness just a bit. If you guys want to know more about these exercises, go to Wim Hof, his website. Go to Dan McQueen's, medicinalmindfulness.org. The reason why I'm saying this and the reason why I went through this with you in a news segment is because I'm tired of the way news normally is. I'm tired of the way it normally goes. It's not there to serve most people. It's there for fear porn. Why do I talk about stuff that might get you riled up? Because it's good to rile it up and then breathe through it, then come back to center. And I want you to listen to me. I'm going to ask you a few questions. In that stillness, in that space that I bet you found, even in the course of maybe that 20, 25 breaths that you just did, close your eyes. Again, do not do this if you're driving or doing anything that you can't close your eyes safely. Picture your inner fighter, not an abuser, a warrior. That inner aspect of you that stands up for what it knows is right, even when there's massive resistance. How does that inner you look? How do they stand? What's their composure and posture look like? What do they stand for? What does he or she stand for? And why? You might be getting to the core of why you incarnated here. If you don't believe that we come here for a reason, that's fine too. But if you feel like you have no reason for being here, do you feel like that's a little disempowering? Couldn't you just make something up? We're creative beings. Can't you just come up with some kind of purpose, some goodness you might be able to bring forward into this world? Connect with that inner fighter. What does it feel like? Look into the eyes of that inner fighter. What does it feel like? How do their eyes penetrate into you? What does it make you feel? Do you feel a bit more empowered? Do you feel a little bit ashamed, like you haven't been stepping into that power? Do you feel like you're on the hamster wheel, but you don't know what to do? I'm not asking you to quit your job. I'm not asking for you to make radical changes. In fact, I don't believe radical changes are very sustainable. I believe incremental steps towards, with laser focus, but in the direction of what we know we should be doing with our life. That is sustainable. That's how we do this. That is what this news program is going to be bringing to you quite a bit more from this point forward. I want to thank you guys. I really do. The people who've been commenting, the people who have been liking and sharing, thank you so much to those of you who have been donating. If you guys want me to address some of your questions and to donate, I'll put that at the top of the priority list. If you just want me to address your questions but you don't have anything to donate, I will still give you that time of day and try to address it here on the news. I don't expect anything from you. I do this in my free time. I really don't make much money at all for doing this news program, but it takes up most of my time. I hope you guys can sense that even though I'm very fallible, even though a lot of the times my logic is probably off, sometimes I get a little too riled up about things where I could show you a more centered way. I'm working through this with you. I really am. I really want you guys to join in the community. I'll have a lot of big things coming at you here with educateinspirechange.org. Their YouTube page was just taken down. I did a podcast with Kosh from Educate Inspire Change. He'll be on my podcast here soon. And really, I'm doing this for us, for all of us, for the global tribe, because I see us driving off a cliff. So, hit the like button, smash it, whatever makes you actually do it. Subscribe, comment below. The best thing you can do, bar none, is share. Even above donating, share this out. Grow the platform as much as you can. Remember, this is also on Spotify now. You can check it out on Spotify. Tell all your friends. This is a podcast that will soon be on all podcast platforms. I want to thank you guys once again for joining me on this very special episode of Waking Infinity News. I'll catch you guys next time.